Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively rare Dragon-type Pokemon Dratini, its rare evolution Dragonair, and its exceptionally rare Dragon Flying-type evolution Dragonite, the three collectively known as the Dragon Pokémon. Majestic in appearance, and more than able to tussle with the best of fighters in their prime, the members of the Dratini family are potent beasts that can make life a pain for those that cannot overcome their immense power.
Dratini have long, serpentine bodies with a white belly area, light blue scales on the top of their form, and a pair of white flanges of flesh on the sides of the head used to help them swim, as well as large, dark, amber-colored eyes, a large white snout, and a small horn on the top of their head. Their evolved form, Dragonair, possess the same general body form, but the head flanges have developed into fluffy wing-like projections, their snout is much smaller and blue in color, and they have a series of blue crystalline orbs on their body, one on the base of their neck, and another two at the end of their tail. Their final evolution, Dragonite, have a body that is much more like that of a traditional dragon, with orange scales covering most of their form, save for the large beiged ribbed belly, as well as a large tail and a pair of feet and hands with 3 white claws each. They further have a pair of fleshy tassels on their head near their small horn, grayish-brown eyes, and a pair of small green-fleshed wings on their back.
For the longest time, Dratini and their evolutions were widely believed to be nothing more than mythical creatures, because no one could ever seem to locate them in the wild. In fact, Dratini were the real reason why similar known creatures were often referred to as Dragon-type Pokemon in the first place. When it came to being elusive, no other monikers seemed to fit the creatures better at the time.
A few decades ago, however, the myth was broken when a small colony of Dratini was discovered within the Dragon's Den of the Johto region by a fisherman after a 10-hour-long struggle. It turns out that the creatures had never been located before because no one had been looking in the right place, underneath a waterfall. It is now understood that Dratini and their evolutions are amphibious in that they can survive in both water and on land, but generally prefer to remain in the water at a young age because their skin is still quite soft and vulnerable to damage, feeding on whatever food may drop into the water and sink to the bottom. By dwelling amongst rapid-flowing bodies of water like waterfalls, Dratini can not only hide their movements to all but the most trained eyes, but also nest within the assurance that pursuers will quickly become pummeled by the waterfall, otherwise lose track of their prey through the curtain of falling water. When Dratini evolve, they leave the safety of their waterfall homes and travel far out into the wild, searching for a clean lake or a pleasant seashore to take residence in. Dragonair are fairly similar to their pre-evolved form in that they generally only feed on small crustaceans or land rodents, and really have to go very far outside their territory to do anything. While they are generally seen as a benefit to the local ecosystem in the eyes of both humans and the Pokemon occupying said ecosystems because of their capacity to change their environment on a whim, Dragonair are also hunted extensively and can thus prove to be a danger to the ecosystem as a whole if they are attacked or removed. Thankfully, recent international laws have been banning the hunting of Dragonair and have nearly killed off the market for Dragonair-related goods entirely, so there is still some hope that the species may yet recover in the future. The evolved form Dragonite has several other advantages going for them that helps to elevate their overall standing as fighters in the wild. For one thing, Dragonite are incredibly smart. So smart in fact that they slightly exceed the average rating of human intelligence globally, in turn making them great partners for strategy-based combat. Secondly, Dragonite can actually fly so well, despite their massive bulk, that they are able to learn several powerful flying-type moves, like Wing Attack Roosted Hurricane, which they can access to immediately after evolving, and can actually circumnavigate the entire planet in just 16 hours. It is now believed that Dragonite are also able to maintain steady flight by generating a repulsive electromagnetic field around their entire bodies, though the exact strength of the field tends to vary depending on the actual elevation. Thirdly, Dragonite are immensely powerful in terms of physical strength, and can easily crush lesser creatures with powerful attacks like Extreme Speed, Fire Punch, and Thunder Punch in close quarters, that are otherwise inaccessible to their pre-evolved forms. Despite all these benefits, however, Dragonite are beyond scarce, and there is no clear evidence present to suggest why the numbers are so surprisingly low in the wild. It is believed by some, however, that there is actually an island out somewhere in the oceans of the world that these creatures live on. At least, that is the story that's been given by one shipwrecked man who was once rescued by a Dragonite and taken to the island to recover before being returned to the shore he set off from.
Whether or not this is actually the case remains to be seen. Regardless, the scaly forms of these beasts aid them notably in battle, as Dratini and Dragonair are able to use their shedding skin to utilize the shed skin ability as their only base ability. And those that have special scales that can be hardened rapidly when exposed to the open air can also have Marvel Scale as a hidden ability. On the other hand, the strong willpower and temperament of Dragonite grants them access to the inner focus ability as the only base ability, but those with potent and tough scales compared to the norm can also have access to multi-scale as a hidden ability.
And looking at their stats in the case of Dragonite, it can be seen these beasts are incredibly tough customers and can make good use of their immense offensive power to rip through others and take damage decently well in turn, with their base attack, defense, and special defense stats being above average for fully evolved Dragon-type Pokemon, and all of the base stats except for speed being above average for fully evolved Flying-type Pokemon, thus rendering them imposing creatures that can be a headache to confront in battle without strong offenses to bring them down quickly.
Unlike most dragon types, Dratini are already fairly large at birth and can oftentimes reach lengths of over 6.5 feet before they even evolve into Dragonair.
In order to grow larger, Dratini shed their skin in much the same fashion as reptiles on an almost daily basis, living within the safety of their waterfall home until the new skin hardens in response to cold water temperatures. Interestingly enough, Dratini often do not grow much larger when they shed the skin, despite how much they actually shed. In truth, Dratini are actually filled with so much draconic energy that they can barely contain it all, let alone channel it in battle. They thus mainly shed as a way of releasing some of this stored up energy, which in turn becomes imbued within the shed skin and leaves growth as only a secondary trait. This also means that the shed skins of Dratini tend to last longer before disintegrating in the open, though how the life-extending qualities of draconic energy can be applied to a non-living object is still poorly understood. Nonetheless, Dratini skins have not only become a popular medicinal ingredient in parts of Japan because of draconic energy's natural healing qualities, but can also be tanned and used to make extremely luxurious boots, in turn leading some richer citizens to try and raise Dratini in captivity just to get their skins for free. Needless to say, this is an expensive venture that few succeed at because of the specific environmental conditions Dratini need to survive and be happy.
Although Dragonair gain access to some considerably powerful moves before evolution, the real power that sets them apart from the rest of their family is the ability to control the weather.
The crystals on the necks and tails of Dragonair act as an energy conduit that helps to dissipate the excess draconic energy that flows throughout their bodies, and turn allowing them to regulate their energy levels in place of shedding their skin. The exact mechanics behind the process are still poorly understood and have yet to be fully reproduced within laboratory settings, but it seems that Dragonair can only use these crystals to expend excess draconic energy, but also convert it into thermal and electromagnetic energy. When this is done in an open environment, the resulting discharge is rapidly dispersed within the surrounding airspace and quickly alters the atmospheric conditions of the area so radically that the weather more often than not changes, further granting Dragonair the ability to fly while riding on wind despite their fairly limited flight capabilities. The actual change that occurs seems to be dependent upon the amount of draconic energy actually released into the crystals, which in turn depends upon the mood of the Dragonair in question. Pleasant moods tend to produce sunny environments that are just perfect for playing in, while harsher moods can generate thunderstorms and seemingly endless hailstorms. It is currently a mystery as to why Dragonair utilize this unique process to expend extra energy, but it may be connected to the fact that they are fully grown and do not need to shed their skin anymore for that function. Even so, the fact that this strange ability does not carry over when they evolve, nor does the mystical appearance it gives them, is a bit of a disappointment to many, especially since their weather-changing powers have led them to be revered by agriculturalists as bringers of good fortune since ancient times, with many leaving offerings near the bodies of water inhabited by Dragonair to appease their favor. They are even seen as a symbol of year-long health if seen flying through the air and twisting their bodies at the beginning of the year, though the sheer offensive strength of Dragonite can more than compensate for this loss. Despite their imposing power and penchant for smashing apart anything that angers them until they are satisfied, Dragonite are kind-hearted creatures that seem to care a lot for other Pokemon and humans in particular. Whether this kindness is out of respect or pity is a subject of much debate, but it is more than clear that Dragonite are more than willing to place themselves in harm's way just to save innocent lives from being ended sooner than expected. In fact, it is not an uncommon sight to see a Dragonite rescuing stranded sailors or even plane crash survivors in the middle of the open ocean, even if the weather is horrendous and potentially life-threatening to all involved, with one captain reportedly referring to the creatures as the Sea Incarnate for this fearless treatment of the open sea.
Perhaps not surprisingly, the bows of many ships are decorated with figureheads that resemble these dragons out of honor.
If the stranded individuals are relatively close to the shore, Dragonite will often just lead them to the shore while keeping a close watch to make sure an oceanic predator does not make a meal out of them. If they are too far away from the shore for this to happen though, Dragonite will take it upon themselves to act as the new transporting vehicle, ferrying anywhere from 1 to 4 people at a time across open ocean to the safety of land in relatively little time. Unfortunately, most rescued individuals rarely get the chance to thank their savior before it flies off again, in turn leaving people with the impression that Dragonite are akin to sacred guardians of the sea that cannot afford to shirk their duty for anything. As such, the true motives behind their behavior and actions remain a relative mystery to society and the scientific community as a whole.
These beasts are indeed majestic for a reason, as the simplistic but adorable forms conceal the immense power they otherwise have to demonstrate in the heat of battle. As rare as they sometimes tend to be, Dratini is certainly among the cutest dragon-type Pokemon I have ever seen, and while they might not look all that special, they've got a great legacy they can work towards with the right partner. Dragonair take this one step further in the capacity to fly, wiggling through the sky looking damn fine while they do so in the process, making them lovable for both their appearances and their ability to make any bad weather day perfect for a picnic in almost a literal flash. And Dragonite, though truly powerful and able to inflict a ton of serious damage on opponents, are also a bit dopey and just really fun to be around. They've got a big heart, and it really shows when they're at work rescuing others from terrible fates. They might be among the simplest of dragon types in many ways, but these monsters are truly kind-hearted in all of their forms, and can make for a worthwhile investment to get them to the high level needed to bring out the very best in them in any situation.
Though they might appear too cute and gorgeous for some to take them seriously, the members of the Dratini family are among the strongest of dragon-type Pokemon out there, and can more than make their mark in a fight when push comes to shove. It might take a very long time to get them to a fully evolved state, but for them, it could be more than worth the wait, just to unleash the immense physical power they have at their disposal.
Just do yourself a favor, and make sure to hang on tight if you decide to take one for a ride sometime. They might make for good methods of transportation as adults, but if they land in a place of mythical proportions, you might find yourself living within a colony of them for who knows how long into the distant future.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.